gonna do?
Oh, here.
Thank you, Tony.
Consider it yours.
I'll never be able to go back to that house. Oh, everything's gonna remind me of Charles and Phoebe. They probably slept in my bed and took showers in my shower.
And I wouldn't want to set a sandwich on that kitchen table.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to...
Hey, oh, wait.
The Who's the Boss podcast. I'm Tori.
I'm Kevin.
And we are here to rewatch and discuss every episode of Who's the Boss. I like this is good.
Oh, yeah, because then it's like a little back and forth.
Yeah,
more
and I don't have to do it anymore.
Oh, okay.
We don't have any news.
No.
I don't have anything to mention. Except that I'm drinking.
Okay, well.
I'm drinking, not just
and?
that I am drinking. But tonight I mixed together some cinnamon whiskey with some Godiva dark chocolate, and I recommend it.
Well, it's dark chocolate liqueur.
Right.
Don't make it sound like we just grinded up some dark chocolate.
No, you're right. Now,
it's the Godiva dark chocolate liqueur. It's good.
When this episode comes out, it's going to be after Christmas, but I feel like it would still work for in between Christmas and New Year's drink.
Yeah, or between 2020 and 2021, whatever.
Just because drink.
Yeah, whatever.
So tonight we are going to cover season 2, episode 22. Oh my gosh, we're so close to the end of season 2.
I know.
It is called Angela's New Best Friend. It first aired on March 25th, 1986. And the TV Guide summary says, Angela's pushy neighbor tries to escape the painful memory of her husband running off with the maid.
Ooh.
So
painful memory.
Yeah, very painful. This episode was written by 3 women. Carrie Honigblum. I don't think I'm saying that right.
It's just a crazy name.
Honigblum. Michelle Bueller-Glazer.
Okay.
Renee Phillips.
Okay.
Now, these 3 women...
That's pretty cool. Written by 3 women.
Yeah. There are a lot of female writers on this show.
Yeah.
Which is not usual for this time. And all 3 of them wrote 4 episodes of Who's the Boss. They all wrote Angela's New Best Friend, Mona's Limo, Jonathan the Gymnast, and Jonathan Kills Tony.
God.
So I don't know if they were like
That's
a writer.
something I don't remember. Jonathan Kills Tony.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Tony dies.
He's not
in season 7 and 8. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if they were like a writing trio that got hired to do these 4 episodes or what, but yeah, it's interesting. And then Sherry and Bill Steinkellner they're listed as story by. So my guess is like maybe they came up with the outline and then these 3 writers took the episode and broke it out.
Filled in the blanks or whatever.
But I think that's kind of happens on some shows when they contract out different writers. Okay, so when this episode opens, Angela and Tony are just hanging out in the kitchen, and Angela is frosting cupcakes. And I just thought it was really cute because they don't really say why. Like the cupcakes don't come up at any point in the...
No, except to make the joke about the system.
About how she's taking so long, yeah.
Well, yeah, that.
But like, there's no bake sale. There's like, I think that they're just hanging out making cupcakes together.
In case anyone's wondering, the rating on this is sexuality.
Yes.
This episode,
and it's all because of Diane Wilmington's outfits. I think.
I know. Yeah.
Well, and I guess the basement part.
That too.
Yeah. It's sexuality, but then for some reason on Amazon Prime, there's a period at the end of the one word. Sexuality. Period.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. So
sorry.
It doesn't play into anything else. They're just hanging out making cupcakes, and yeah, Angela's taking a long time.
But it's something Tony would be doing in the kitchen,
right?
Or making cupcakes, and then Angela wants to join in. Oh, I want to put the sprinkles on, so he lets her.
Right. True.
I don't know. That seems pretty natural
cute
for them. Yeah.
I like
and the
it.
tongue is out while she's putting it.
Because she's concentrating.
I know. It's great.
Yeah, and he's like, if Michelangelo could have painted the Sistine Chapel in the time it takes you to frost one cupcake.
Right.
And her reply is that the Sistine Chapel didn't have sprinkles.
Right, which is legit. Makes sense.
Mona comes in the back door, and she's like, quick, we have to pretend we're not home because someone's coming. And they're like, oh, who is it? Is it the guys with the religious pamphlets?
Religious pamphlets.
What's funny about this is now everyone, anytime their doorbell rings.
Anytime anyone comes at all.
Anytime.
And now.
Right. You hit the floor.
Even today,
you're army crawling through the living room so that they don't see you through the window.
Under attack.
Yeah. But I guess before texting and everything, it was more common for people
you just open
to
the door.
show up. I remember just going to my friends' houses and knocking on the door to see if they could come out and play. So
I know. You just knocked on the door.
You just knocked on the door. Yeah. And now I don't want anyone near my front door.
Yeah, there's a whole comedy routine. I can't think of the comedian's name right now, but he does a whole thing about that.
Yeah, about how
back in the day it was like, come on in.
Right. And Mom always had coffee cake
ready.
I
can't
remember either, but I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, no.
I've seen him several times at the comedy store too. That guy, and I can't think of his name.
So they're all trying to hide. And Mona says it's worse than the guys with the religious pamphlets. It's Diane Wilmington.
Oh, Diane Wilmington.
Angela's like, that woman is like fingernails on a blackboard. She doesn't know why, but she just can't stand her. And they're like, well, maybe because she's shallow and vain and a troublemaker and a gossiper. And she's like, no, that's not it.
I know.
What? So they're kind of like hiding. Oh, and then...
But Tony says she has some good qualities.
Right. Tony says she has some good qualities, and then she says she's a tramp.
Right. So, immediately just she's a tramp.
We're not... Oh, my gosh. Seriously? The cat just got in the Christmas tree.
Cat's in the middle of the Christmas... I just looked up, and the tree's rocking back and forth violently.
You know what makes me... What's funny about this also is that...
you can hear the ornaments.
Yeah. If... I posted a picture on Instagram right before we started... recording this of the cat and the dog in the background. But if you do hashtag who's the boss on Instagram, half of the posts you get are who's the boss, and the other half is people's animals, basically saying that their animals run their lives.
Oh, the animals run their lives.
So it's quite fitting that as we're trying to do an actual Who's the Boss podcast, the animals are trying to run our lives.
Well, as you were saying that, the large orange cat was yelling at the mini cat in the tree. The large orange cat was very concerned.
Oh my gosh.
He still is. He's looking around.
All right, I'm going on. Okay, so again, I don't like anyone calling a woman a tramp, so we're not going to laugh at that.
Frank Sinatra called a lady a tramp.
Yeah, but wasn't that supposed to be a different use of the word tramp?
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's why the lady is a tramp. I always had an issue with that song, thinking it wasn't. I probably shouldn't be listening to it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is, I guess maybe when we were younger, we just didn't really have quite the connotation of the word tramp, because there's that Disney movie, Lady and the Tramp,
right, where the guy,
he's considered a tramp just because he's sort of like, he's a wanderer or whatever, the boy dog. Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay,
the definition, looking up the definition of tramp, it just says a person who travels from place to place on foot in search of work as a vagrant or beggar.
Yeah, but look up the slang version towards women. It's not the same.
I don't see that on the internet anywhere.
Nowhere on the internet. Hang on.
Oh, here we go. Urban Dictionary.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Oh.
Synonym for slut.
Yeah, see.
But not the same. A slut is obvious. A tramp is a slut disguised as a lady.
Oh. So that must...
this is...
So really, is Frank
Urban
Sinatra...
Dictionary. Take it for what it's worth.
Is that song really about
because
promiscuous
the
woman?
song... No.
Okay.
Because the song talks about how some of the lyrics are, a lady doesn't go and blow on some other guy's dice.
What?
I know, which has...
It's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Basically, he's talking about how she's wandering around the room, like talking to other people and other men when she should be hanging out with him.
Still not getting better. Okay, so I guess he could be using the wanderer definition.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay, got it.
But the lady shouldn't wander around and blow on some other guy's dice is not a good. That is a lyric. So the actual lyrics.
All you have to do is change one letter of that word, and it becomes way worse.
Right.
Okay,
True.
So, all right, we're not gonna. Not that I've listened to that song ever, but
it's a good song.
I think it's going to be played on this series.
Okay.
There is an episode with Frank Sinatra.
Sorry if it sounds like somebody's playing a cowbell in the background. It's my cat going through. Oh my gosh, she's going to take the tree down. This is it.
Okay, we should pause.
She's about 4 feet high in the tree.
This is not good listening for anyone.
I know,
okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, we got that figured out. We're back. Cat's out of the tree. So they're kind of standing in the living room looking towards the front door, and they can see that she's there. She's knocking, she's ringing the doorbell, and they're not letting her in. So they're like, wow, she's persistent. And then they finally see her walk away through the window. And Tony's like, yep, that's her silhouette, all right. She is the only R-rated silhouette in the neighborhood.
Really? That's it? She's the hottest one in the neighborhood.
And Mona's like, I beg your pardon.
I know, of course.
He says, present company accepted. So they're like, okay, the coast is clear. We're good. And Angela's like, great, because the last thing I wanted to do was to listen to Diane. They push the door open to go back into the kitchen, and there's Diane standing there with Jonathan. So Jonathan's like, see, Mrs. Wilmington? I told you they were home. So this is not the same Diane Wilmington that we saw before. So in the episode Paint Your Wagon, Diane Wilmington was played by Delta Burke. In this episode, she is played by Mary Lou Henner. So I found somebody directed me to an interview. There's really not much that I could find, but
no.
Apparently, based on a video that I saw with Mary Lou Henner, I think I spoke about this recently, but somebody paid for a cameo. She was doing cameo videos for charity, and somebody paid for one, and they asked her about her time on Who's the Boss. And so she has that insane memory where she can remember everything. So she remembered the exact day that they were shooting, and so according to her, they were shooting this episode, and they had to recast Delta Burke as Diane Wilmington. So Tony called her up and asked her if she wanted to do it. She said yes, and then she came in and filled in the part. She also remembered that around this episode was when Tony went on his first date with the woman who would become his wife. I can't remember her name.
Oh, that's interesting.
Tracy Robinson is that lady's name.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, apparently he had been trying to get her to go out with him for years, and she finally agreed. So I guess he was excited about it, so Mary Lou remembered that. So then an interview I found, all Tony would really say was that he and Delta Burke didn't get along. And
right, I wonder what happened.
I know. And that it wasn't one of his greatest moments. So I don't know what happened.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, so Mary Lou Henner plays her. And so we all know Mary Lou Henner from Taxi, and that is where she and Tony knew each other. So Mary Lou's written a few books. I read part of her, I can't remember which one it is, but basically she talks about her life story. She's a really interesting life story. She grew up in Chicago, big family. Both of her parents died very young. She began acting in high school. Also, much like Judith, has former weight issues that she worked through, and she actually brings that up a bit in this episode as well. And then she was in the original production of Grease, original.
Stage?
Yeah, original stage production of Grease. Not even off Broadway, when they was being workshopped in Chicago. She knew the people who wrote it, and so yeah, I can't remember who she played.
I was about to say
Marty?
I don't know. I could see her being more of a Rizzo or a...
I don't think it was Rizzo.
You know
and then I do think she ended up going on the traveling tour with Grease.
Oh, interesting.
With John Travolta, which is where she was in a relationship with him for a while.
I was about to say, weren't they together for a while? Yeah.
And then on Taxi, she had a 6-month affair, I think, with Tony Danza when they first started on the show.
Nice.
And they're still friends. So... yeah, it's cute to see her here. She looks great. And So she makes a joke about the doorbell not working. Like, you really need to get that doorbell fixed. I almost left.
I know. It's like, darn it. Until Jonathan ruined everything.
So Tony's like, well, can I get you some coffee? Yeah, that'd be nice. Would you like regular or D cup? Mm-hmm. So Mary Lou is very well endowed.
Right, it's obvious.
And she's wearing a shirt that shows it off. So I guess she caught Tony off guard there. So, and then Mona's like, did you come over to borrow a cup of eyeshadow? Mona's so mean.
I know. Every time. But
Diane says she just wanted to come by because it had been a long time since they had seen each other. And they see each other so seldom. And then she just starts crying.
Right. Suddenly her and Angela are best friends, right?
So in the past, we've known Diane Wilmington as being married. And she has a housekeeper named Phoebe. And in Paint Your Wagon, they make references to the fact that Phoebe is sleeping with Diane's husband. And in other episodes, there's the one where Tony's cleaning the chimney. Keeping Up with the Marcys. When he's cleaning the chimney and it all goes in Mona's face. When he's up on the chimney, he sees Mrs. Wilmington, like, talking to the gardener or something. And starts making out with the gardener. So she has a history of cheating on her husband, and her husband has a history of cheating on her.
But she goes after Tony once before this.
Yes.
In the garage.
In Paint Your Wagon.
Played
by Delta Burke, she does try to get Tony to then become her housekeeper because...
But she, like, takes off her clothes, like, she's in all tights, and they're supposed to be working out.
Right. So she has a history of just sort of being a flirt and being aggressive when it comes to men in the neighborhood. So, yes, Diane starts crying, and she's like, I'm so great to be able to have, like, a best friend... A best friend like you. She hugs Angela. And I love this because Tony just slaps his hand over Mona's mouth before she's able to say anything. Mm-hmm. And then he's mouthing to Angela, best friend? But Diane says, my life's over. My maid ran off to Rio. And at first, Tony thinks that Phoebe just ran off to Rio. So she's like, on her salary?
I know, that's awesome. He's like, Angela, we need to talk.
She explains that her husband has run off to Rio with Phoebe. And she's going to be she just feels awful. Like, she can't believe that her husband actually left her. Like, she knew he was having an affair, but I guess she didn't care because she was having affairs too. She just didn't think he would actually leave. And she's going to be the laughingstock of the neighborhood. And Angela's like, don't worry, you're not going to be the laughingstock of the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And then you hear Samantha come in the house yelling from the living room, did you hear that Diane Wilmington got dumped? So
immediately.
She's like, it even hit the playground. So Mona does something really odd here, and I don't know what it is. But
I don't either. We watched it a couple times, couldn't figure out what the heck was going on.
Yeah, so, like, Diane's crying, Samantha leaves, and then Mona's, like, tapping her nose.
I know, I almost feel like it was like she was trying to give somebody a stage direct, like, you're supposed to be doing this. But yet they just put it in because there was a camera on her that
it was like a cutaway shot.
Right.
Yeah, it's really odd. So
it's
like,
so strange.
Is she telling Tony that Diane needs a tissue? Because then Tony gives her
part. Maybe, yeah.
Tony gives her the
but she has a tissue. That's what's odd. She already has a tissue.
Well, then he gives her a dish rag.
Right, like she needs another tissue and he can't.
Right, and
there's no tissues in the kitchen, and then she points at her nose. I don't know. It's like she has a tissue.
She has a tissue. Yeah. Well, then she blows her nose into this dish rag like she's
terrible.
Grandpa.
I know.
So she goes to hand the towel back to Tony, and he's like, "No, that's good. You can consider it yours."
And so she just sets it on the table. So now this dish rag full of snots is near the cupcakes.
All the cupcakes that Angela is working so hard on.
Right, but obviously she doesn't care because that's the kind of person she is.
Right.
It's all about her.
Yes, exactly. So she's telling them, "I'm never going to be able to go back to that house because everything is going to remind me of Charles and Phoebe." Her husband's name was Charles. And she says they probably slept in my bed, took showers in my shower. And Mona says, and I wouldn't want to set a sandwich on that kitchen table.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is great.
It's a good line.
So Angela's like, Diana, if there's anything we can do to help you, just let us know. So she asks if she can stay there for a couple of days. And that's exactly what they did not want to hear. So Tony's trying to say, it's not that we don't want you here. It's just that we don't really have the space. We don't have a spare bedroom. And the doorbell's broken. I love that Tony brings it up because
the doorbell's broken.
It's a funny callback.
How many visitors is she having over that she's got to worry about that doorbell being broken? She doesn't care.
That was funny. So she's like, that's fine. I can just go to a cheap motel. Just make sure you call and check on me to make sure I haven't done anything desperate. So Angela caves and she's like, okay, never mind. You can stay here. So she's very excited. She says she's going to go home and pack a few trunks.
Pack a few trunks?
And Tony's not.
What year is it? Trunk?
Tony's not excited. So he's like, you've lost your mind.
You would think that Tony would be secretly excited, though.
Well, he just knows she's trouble.
I know.
I mean, he thinks she's hot, but he's not in any way interested in her.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's probably not going to... He's not willing to risk messing anything up, which we see later in the episode for her. In a different... Like, if he met her out at a bar and she wasn't at all associated, then he'd definitely go for it, I'm sure. So, it's like the next day or at some point later... Tony's in the kitchen making a little sandwich for himself, and Diane comes in wearing nothing but a nightgown and a robe.
I know, and just starts eating the sandwich.
I know. And she pulls an Angela, but she's even more brazen. She just, takes the sandwich almost right out of his hands.
Right. Sandwich looks fantastic.
It really does.
I don't know what the hell it is,
I know.
but it looks good.
It looks good.
Some sprouts.
Sprouts, yeah. Maybe sourdough?
Some
I don't know.
Turkey? I don't know.
So Tony's like, Mrs. Wilmington, that was my sandwich. And she asks him if he would like a nibble. You can tell the chemistry between Mary Lou and Tony Danza is very strong, which is obviously why she makes a better part, I guess, here than Delta Burke.
Right.
So he's like, no thanks, I'll just make myself another sandwich. And then she says a line, I've always relied upon the kindness of strangers. And says, I saw that on a TV show once. I think it was Dynasty. It's actually from the play A Streetcar Named Desire.
There you go. I didn't even know that.
I only know that because I saw that play in New York when Gillian Anderson played
that's
Blanche.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so Diane goes out in the living room where the kids are watching MTV. And Diane...
Which is awesome because that's what I did as an 80s kid.
Right.
You just sat in the living room and watched video after video on MTV.
Right.
So that's pretty awesome. They're just sitting there watching videos. Apparently on the same chair. Well, I guess they had to sit on the same chair because...
Yeah, because she's taken over the living room.
Because Diane's bed is the couch. So she's taken over the whole living room.
All of her stuff is sprawled all over the coffee table. She's really imposing herself on them happily.
And doesn't care.
No. So she says that it's time for Donahue. So she's going to watch Donahue. So at first I thought this was Saturday or Sunday because the kids are home. But this must be after school because then Angela...
Right, I think it's insinuating it's late in the day. Like Tony's making himself a sandwich.
Oh, that's
She's just
true.
still in her pajamas.
Right, and Donahue probably used to come on 3. So the kids are home from school.
Right, mid-afternoon talk show.
I just hit my mic. And
anybody
Angela,
knows what Donahue is.
Yeah, Phil Donahue. He was a top.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, I think people who are fans of this show are fans of this podcast.
Right,
fans.
That is a reference that younger viewers are not going to get because
Donahue, what's that?
Look
it up.
But he was on concurrently with Oprah, right? I feel
yes,
Sally
but he was
Jesse.
Before Oprah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He's before everybody.
But I think he was on for a while after she came on.
His show started in 1967.
Oh, my God.
I know. That's crazy. I didn't know that. I looked it up.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It started in Ohio in 1967 to 74, and it moved to Chicago in 1974 until 1985, and then New York City 1985 to 1996.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was the original...
Yeah,
he's the OG talk show,
right.
Before Oprah and everybody.
Before Sally Jesse.
Yeah,
Jenny
I think
Jones,
before everybody. Yep.
All of those. Remember when Andrea from 90210 used to have a dog, Gabrielle Carteris?
Yes, I mean that That was like 14 minutes.
Okay, so she says it's time for Donahue. If she doesn't watch him, she'll just die. And Jonathan's like, she says it, but she doesn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
So Samantha's like, but we were, and I love how everybody calls her Mrs. Wilmington.
Yeah.
Mrs. Wilmington, we were watching Bruce Springsteen.
I know, which is awesome.
Yeah, and she doesn't have children. She doesn't like children. She doesn't understand them. So she's like, don't you have homework or something to do? And Sam says, I want my MTV.
Which is awesome in itself.
So that's a callback.
Because that was the slogan.
Yes.
Yeah, I want my MTV.
Yep. So Diane and the kids just start fighting. And Angela
awesome.
comes out
Great.
because she must be working from home that day.
And she comes out from behind the fireplace.
Right. Her 1,700 square foot office.
Whatever's back there, I don't know.
Where the house can sit on top of it. And she's like, does anyone care that I'm trying to get some work done around here? And Diane's like, well, we all have problems. I'm trying to watch Donahue.
I know.
And the kids say that they want to watch videos. So Tony comes out, and he's like, all right, I'll settle this. Diane, you can watch Donahue. And she walks back over to the TV and then almost knocks Jonathan over with her butt.
I know.
On the way there.
She pushes him. She does knock him over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Does somebody catch him or does he just fall down? I don't remember.
No, I think he falls against the furniture or whatever. I mean, he falls once fighting for the remote.
Right. During the fight.
I mean, this kid gets knocked around quite a bit.
All the time. So, and Tony tells the kids, you can tape your videos. So I guess...
Yeah, well, I did that.
Yeah, I remember that. But don't they have a TV upstairs? But maybe that's the kitchen TV. I don't know. I'm not going to think about it that much.
Yeah, don't read into it too much.
So
they're just trying to make a TV show here.
Tony says to Angela, I'd like to see you in my office. Oh, yeah, and Jonathan gets pushed back.
He gets knocked back about 4 feet.
To the bookshelf.
Poor little guy.
So Tony says to Angela, I'd like to see you in my office. And Angela's like, your office? And he says, the kitchen.
Yeah,
I love that he considers
Tony's
the kitchen.
office is the kitchen.
It really is. It's his domain. That's his room.
It is.
So they go into the kitchen, and they're discussing it. And the kids are like, maybe we should just go move in with Grandma. So they leave.
Right, they're done.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, she's got to go.
Yeah, she's got to get out of here because everybody's going crazy. And she's a couch potato. And Angela's like, she'll leave soon. Like, she just needs some time. You know, what do you want me to do? Just kick her out? Like, how do you want me to kick her out? And Tony's
he's like, that's an idea.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care. Left foot, right foot, whichever foot. So Mona comes in.
Yeah, this part's pretty funny. I got a kick out of this.
Yeah, and she's collecting groceries out of the refrigerator. Now, she has one of those, like, grocery baskets.
Right.
Where the hell did she get that?
I don't know. Stole it from the store.
Yeah, I think it was in the garage near the shopping cart that's also in the garage.
Maybe it was in the shopping cart.
They just collect things from the grocery store. Does Tony just walk home from the grocery store?
I guess. And just bring
And if you look closely here, you can see Tony, she throws like the milk and the eggs into the basket.
And there's
then,
nothing in that egg carton.
Oh no, it's so light. But Tony Danza kind of takes the carton and then like turns it around like he's trying to lay it down as if there are real eggs in it.
Right, like he's got to let her know.
You're going to break these eggs.
Right. Very Tony.
Yeah, so she's collecting food and then she's like, can you direct me to where I can find the peanut butter? Can you please tell me where the sheets and towels would be? And Tony's like, second floor, housewares.
Yeah, it's like it's a real store.
Right. So she leaves, and Tony's like, this is ridiculous. The living room's in shambles. The kids are moving out. Mona's taking everything out of the kitchen. Like, you have to get rid of her. So Angela's getting her stuff out of a bowl and a spoon. And she's telling him, just consider this an act of kindness to another human being. Until she opens the freezer and she can't find her butter brickle ice cream.
The butter brickle.
Yeah. And she says, where's my butter brickle ice cream? And Tony says, another human being ate it.
I know. And at that moment, you and I both looked at each other like, what the hell is butter brickle?
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself pretty...
a ice cream
connoisseur.
Yes,
I'm
are very...
pretty well versed in the
and we
flavors
had no
of ice
idea
cream.
what
But you looked
butter
it
brickle.
up. What is it?
Well, it says ingredients are milk, cream, sugar, corn syrup, butterscotch candy, sugar, corn syrup, butter, cream, salt, coconut oil, blah, blah, blah. But basically, essentially, from Turkey Hill Dairy, which is an ice cream company. Like they make ice cream, whatever. I don't know if everybody has Turkey Hill.
Do we have?
We have Turkey Hill
In the grocery store?
Yeah, there's Turkey Hill
okay.
here. Yeah, in California's. Toffee flavored ice cream with buttered toffee candy pieces.
It sounds really good, actually.
Butter brickle.
I wonder if we'll get a Nana note, because when I was a kid, my parents owned a Carvel ice cream for years. And I don't remember us having butter brickle either. But maybe someone will correct me on that.
Yeah, butter brickle. That's first for me.
I know. I kind of want it now.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll go look for some.
So Tony follows her to their freezer. Oh, because Angela's like, okay, that's it. She's out. And she leaves to go tell Diane she's got to leave.
It's fine. That's it.
Tony goes to the freezer and opens it, and he finds the butter
Of course,
brickle.
Tony knows exactly where it is, because he probably put it wherever it is.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But he's like, he keeps his mouth shut, because if she's going to kick Diane out.
Gone.
Yeah. So Angela goes out in the living room. Diane's like, I'm watching Donahue. But Angela says, we got to talk. And you can't just let this get you down. You're going to get over this. And Diane says, Phil says it could take years. And Angela said, Phil wouldn't feel that way if you were living on his couch.
Right, exactly. It's funny.
So Angela basically encourages her, it hurts right now and this is difficult, but once you get back up on your feet and you get out there, you'll realize that you can do this on your own. You don't need a man.
I love that she's still laying on the couch eating Tony's fancy sandwich. I think there's cucumbers in there or something. That looks like a good sandwich.
Yeah.
Sprouts and
really,
cucumbers.
And tomato?
Yeah, tomato. I know you're not a fan of tomato.
No, but sometimes it depends.
That looks like a decent little sandwich.
Yes, it's good. So she's she keeps comparing it to her. If you can just get out there and learn how to stand on your own, you can be like me. I don't have a man. I don't need a man, and I'm happy, and all this stuff. She's like, in the beginning when Michael and I split, I thought it would be really hard, but once I got going, I realized that I can be happy and single. Diane's not really buying it.
No.
I think the idea may seem interesting to her, but she just doesn't want to be without a man, hasn't been without a man, and doesn't really see the value in being independent. So Diane says, this reminds me a lot of when I was an adolescent and I was insecure. And Angela's like, you were insecure?
Yeah.
And she says she was lonely and that she was fat. And Angela says that she was fat too. So a lot in the book, she talks a lot about, Mary Lou talks a lot about being heavy for most of her 20s. But she also has had a really good, she still had a very good sense of self-esteem. She knew she was heavy, but she kind of didn't care, and guys were still into her. And I guess that shouldn't really be the deciding factor of whether or not you care. But she was basically saying, if you still exude confidence and sex appeal, that still came across, and men were attracted to her at whatever weight she was. So she has a lot of confidence and has always had a lot of confidence. So yeah, Diane says, I was fat too, and then all the weight moved up to my chest.
Yeah, I know.
So now Angela looks down at herself.
I know, for a while too. It's funny.
I know, she really kind of is just sitting there That's great. They really let it breathe. They stretched it out.
Just sat there for a minute, and then she looks down again, and she's like, oh, well.
So again, Angela stresses, you need to learn to be more independent like me. And Diane says, well, I want to be like you in some ways. And again, Angela looks down at her chest. And she's like, I don't even know where to start. And Angela's like, well, the first thing you do is get off the couch, get dressed, and get out there in the world. So Tony comes in to the living room, and he's like, okay, how's everything going out here? Are we good?
I know, right? He's worried.
Yeah. And Angela's like, she's had a great breakthrough. She's getting up. She's getting dressed. And is she getting out? And Diane's kind of quietly crying behind Angela's back. And Angela's like, just as soon as she's ready. So Tony says, I'll be at Mona's.
Yeah, that's it. Tony's moving out too.
Right.
It's over.
So Angela goes into the kitchen and she's like, please try to understand. And he's like, I get it. You just completely wimped out. So she's like, you don't know what it's like to be a single woman out there all alone. And he's like, I'm a single man. Like, don't you think that we get lonely too? And she says, what about the Lone Ranger? Or he says, what about the Lone Ranger? And she says he had Tonto.
I know.
And then Tony says that's how lonely he was. So is he making a joke that the Lone Ranger and Tonto were together?
Well, that's always been a joke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was a kid and like growing up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's always like Tonto and Lone Ranger might have had something.
Oh, interesting.
It's a pretty terrible joke. But yeah, that there might have been something. Because they were alone in the Wild West.
Oh.
I don't know. But maybe there was something going on. So I feel like that's a throwback. Or not throwback, but like a reference to that joke.
Okay, got it.
That terrible joke.
So Mona comes back into the kitchen holding a full grocery basket. She's collected all of her stuff.
Again.
And she finds out that Diane is still going to be staying longer. So she says she'll be back for the major appliances. So the next day, Diane's in the living room and she's trying to figure out how to fold a fitted sheet. Which is funny because like she's never taken care of herself or cleaned up after herself, but really it's hard for anyone to fold a fitted sheet. I do exactly what she did half the time and just get angry and then ball it up and stick it underneath the top sheet so no one will notice.
Well, I've noticed.
But they're just
I know how to fold a fitted sheet.
I mean, I know how to, but it's just a pain in the ass. Nobody's got time for this.
I have to fold it.
Tony comes up from the basement and he's holding some laundry. And he notices that the living room's all clean. He's like, it looks like Mr. Clean whipped through here. And she says, Mrs. Clean. Because she cleaned up the living room. She cleaned up all of her stuff. She got herself dressed. She's no longer in a nightgown.
No, she's taking control of her life.
Yep. And she says that Angela really helped her become more independent. And she's asked Tony, don't you know anything different about me? And he's like, no. And she says, I don't need a man. So,
well, all of a sudden.
Right. And then she asked Tony, do you think women who don't need men are more attractive? And Tony, for some reason, says that he once had a crush on the Flying Nun. But wait.
What is the Flying Nun?
That was that show with Sally Fields.
I should have looked at.
Wasn't Sally Fields the Flying Nun?
Maybe you're right. Yes, I think I know
so.
what you're talking about. Yes.
So now she's trying to get Tony to go have a coffee break because she did all this work, so she really could use a break, and he could use a break too. And he's like, "Well, I gotta go do the laundry, so I'll be downstairs." And she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to come with me?" And he says, "If I'm not back up in a few minutes, just go ahead and get started without me." And she says, "That's what my husband used to say." So
wow.
Tony's down in the basement, and this is the first time we see that basement set. I think, right?
I think you're right.
We've seen the attic, but we haven't seen the basement yet.
That's a good point.
Right. I looked around a little bit. I like Tony has like a little like a laundry folding station. A table.
Right.
Then like some wardrobe rack off to the side. I saw a lot of ice skates hanging on the wall.
For some reason or another.
There's more of the brick that continues from the fireplace downstairs, upstairs, and then into the attic. Lots of little boxes and just random stuff. Yeah, it's just always funny to see how they fill these spaces.
Yeah, the set dressing.
Yeah. So Tony's kind of jumping around.
I know, he's like playing basketball with the clothes. Like he's throwing clothes in the wash machine like it's a basketball.
Yeah, he's playing around with... Oh, I almost said he's playing around with himself, which doesn't sound right. But playing basketball with himself. And then, he smells his pits and he's like, oh, it's time for the shower. So he takes off the shirt he's wearing and he throws it. Which is
insinuating he smells already. Meaning,
what time of the day is it?
I don't know. I mean, like, leading up to what's going to happen.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's no good.
Do you think Diane Wilmington is deterred by smell?
No, she's probably turned on by it.
Right. If anything, she's going to be sticking her face all up under the armpit.
What? What the hell is that?
She's probably into that.
Oh, okay.
So it just reminded me.
She's going to shove her face into his armpit, but yeah, probably.
No, it just reminded me of like Outlander. I don't know if they ever did that on the show, but they do that in the book where Jamie is like from the 1700s in Scotland. So body smells doesn't really bother him at all because he's so used to them, and Claire's still a little grossed out. And he's like, that the first time you met me, you should have shoved my face into your armpits so that I could get used to your smell and I wouldn't have been so scared of you. So I think that's the reference I was going for there.
Oh.
So Diane just seems like that kind of
I see.
person,
Okay.
where that's not going to deter her at all.
Yeah.
So, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. So he takes his shirt off. He throws it in the wash. And she's coming down the stairs as she sees this happen.
But even still, with her upstairs, why would he think it's a good idea to take it? What
his
is he going to
shirt
put on when he comes up? He's going to be shirtless regardless.
Oh, well, maybe he's going to grab the clean shirt he ends up putting on. That's a good point. But I don't think he
that's
expected
true.
that she was going to follow him downstairs at all.
All right, that's fair.
Maybe it's like COVID time where he had slept in that shirt the night before and was still wearing it halfway through the day today.
Yeah, well.
So he figured he should change it. Meanwhile, Tony Danza's 36-year-old chest here is out of control.
I know. He's got his six-pack abs.
Yeah, like crazy. It's like you don't realize it so much when he's fit, obviously, when he's wearing clothes, but it's pretty striking when he's not wearing a shirt. Okay, so Diane comes down. She likes what she sees. And she's saying, I never knew that basketball could be so stimulating.
Right.
He's like, I've always liked it. So he's like, what are you doing down here? And she says she just thought maybe she would do some laundry herself. And he's like, oh, well, there's still room in the washer. So give me your clothes and I'll run them. So she takes off her shirt.
You're right.
And she throws it over his shoulder. He had turned away from her, so he couldn't see her right now. And she throws it over his shoulder and into the washing machine. So he realizes that when he turns back around, she's not going to have her shirt on.
But she's still wearing some kind of under.
Yeah, Mary Lou Henner's wearing like
garment.
a camisole slip kind of thing. So it's not like she's just standing there in a bra. So Tony's like, oh, I think you misunderstood what I meant when I said give me your clothes. So she starts coming on to him. She's pressing up against his back. She says, I've always had a soft spot for you. And Tony's like, yeah, you have a lot of them.
No.
So she's like pushing him up against the wall. And he's like, what about that? What happened to I don't need a man? And she's like, I don't need you, but I just want you. So he's like, I'm not ready for this. And then the ironing board falls out of the cabinet and like flops down.
I know,
but she says, what?
No, sorry, go ahead.
When she says, you could have fooled me.
I know, like that's some kind of innuendo where the ironing board pops out. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I thought it was just me. I mean, not.
No, that's definitely what they were going for,
Right.
I think.
And then he tries to put it back and it won't stop. And it keeps hitting him in the head. And it gets very Jack Tripper into his company.
Totally.
So he like it's like he's trying to put it away, but it keeps coming out.
Right. He's trying to put his hormones away.
Right.
But it's not going so well.
No.
They're smacking him over the head.
Right.
And it's also kind of Graduate-esque. The way he keeps calling her Mrs. Wilmington.
That's true,
I mean,
too.
she's not
Yeah.
at all
Well, yeah,
older
that's a
than
good-
him. But just kind of like that power play where he's trying to get away from her and she's
Right.
the aggressor. So she says, he's saying, I live here, my
Right.
family lives here, you're next door, like, this isn't a good idea. She says, the good book says you should love thy neighbor.
Right.
He's like, you're a very nice lady, but like my daughter's here and Angela's here. Oh no, she says, and Angela. So Diane has a feeling that Angela is somehow keeping Tony from getting it on with her. He says that he doesn't want to put anything in jeopardy. And then she just goes in for a kiss.
Right.
And there's some definite tongue in this kiss.
I know. Tongue comes right up.
Yeah. On Mary Lou's part for sure. But, I mean, these two actors know each other very well. They have been together in the past, so I'm sure that was not an issue. Because I've heard that, like, actors have, like, if there are kissing scenes, and for sitcoms are usually pretty bland kissing scenes, but actors will usually have a discussion as to whether or not like it's going to be an open mouth or a closed
Right.
mouth or
What's
tongue or
gonna
no
happen
tongue.
here?
Right. So Angela comes downstairs as they're kissing. And she's in the middle of saying that she spilled coffee on herself when she sees Tony and Diane. So she's like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And Tony says, nothing at all. And she asks, well, then why do you have lipstick on your collarbone? And Angela accuses him of taking advantage of this poor, vulnerable woman. So Tony says, poor, vulnerable woman, who's the one with no shirt on? But he must have forgotten that he is standing there with no shirt on.
I know.
And,
But I guess he was insinuating, because she took
Right.
her shirt off.
right. Even though it doesn't necessarily look like that to Angela because of the
Doesn't
shirt
look good
that
when
she's
you're
wearing.
sitting around with your shirt off.
Right. And not Mary Lou. Diane says, well, you're the one who told me to give you my clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony's like, come on. So Angela says, this woman needs to be treated like a human being, not a sex object. And Diane's like, not so fast.
Yeah, right.
So Tony gets mad. He's like, I didn't treat anyone like a sex object. I didn't treat anyone like anything. I'm just doing my job. And she came down here and was throwing clothes at me. And now you're coming down here and throwing accusations at me. And so I'm going upstairs and making a quiche.
Right.
So he leaves. And Diane's like, well, men are so sensitive when he's gone. So Angela's now starting to understand that maybe something else was happening. Because Tony was
Yep.
pretty upset when he left. And she's asked, is that true? Did you throw yourself at him? And Diane says, yes, but I missed. And Angela, reminds her, what about what we talked about? Like, you don't need a man. You're going to be self-sufficient. And now Diane's calling Angela on her bullshit. Because she's like, oh, you mean like you? Because you are not completely self-sufficient. Like, you say that there's not a man in your life, but he's upstairs.
Making a quiche.
Right, like basically cooking you dinner right now. And Angela, doesn't really get it at first, but she's like, what did Tony say? Like, what do you mean? And she basically says, like, even though you guys aren't necessarily in a sexual relationship, like, you have an emotional relationship and you have a family. And she's seen this before. She says she has seen the little basketball games outside. Mm-hmm. She's seen the cookouts in the snow. That's a callback to...
That is. That's it, yeah.
Oh, what is that episode?
I don't know, but then
Protecting the President, I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
When Tony's trying to grill outside and it starts snowing.
Right, and then he beats up Jim Peterson later. Yes. And then the family outings and the fact that you share your problems. So, like, you can't say that you don't have a man in your life because even if you're not having sex with him, like,
Right.
you guys
It's a
support
warm,
each
meaningful
other.
relationship is
Right.
what she says.
Yes, and she says that's more than she's ever had. So Diane now knows what she wants, and it's that she wants what Angela has, which is a warm, meaningful relationship. Not necessarily with Tony. Like, she's not going to try to take Tony from her or anything. She just wants to find somebody like that.
Right.
But it's like Diane needs to kind of change her tactics because it's going to be she needs to figure out why she's attracted to the people that she's attracted to before that's going to happen for her.
That's true. That's another
It's a little...
episode or another podcast, maybe.
So Angela goes upstairs and she feels kind of bad now. So she asks Tony, he's in there like furiously chopping stuff to put in his quiche.
I know.
And
Looks like it's going to be a good one.
She asks him if he's still upset. And he says no. And then he asks where her soul sister is. And she says she's getting ready to... Oh, she says, you mean Diane? He says, no, Aretha Franklin. And she says that she's packing up and she's leaving. So Angela apologizes to him. And she doesn't just apologize for accusing him of stuff, but she apologizes to him because... She told Diane that she was completely independent, and now she realizes that that's not the truth because she does have help.
Right.
And he's her help, and he's very good help.
Yep.
And he says, good help is hard to find. And she says, so are good friends. And he says, so is good ice cream.
Right.
Because he did, in fact, find her butter
Find the butter brickle.
Right, when she couldn't.
Now she's allowed to have it.
Right. So they sit down, and they get out some bowls, and they eat ice cream together. I noticed,
What
too,
about
that...
the quiche?
Tony Danza goes to the wrong drawer to get spoons out at first.
I know.
You would think Tony Micelli would know that kitchen. It's his office.
When's the quiche, though?
Yeah, so maybe...
The ice cream's going to spoil the appetite for the quiche.
What time of day do you think it is?
I don't know.
And Angela never went to work this week. I'm very confused.
I work from home all week.
Right, but still in a full business attire to then sit in her den or office.
You got to be ready for that Zoom meeting. Oh, wait, no.
For her answering service. So in the tag... Angela comes into the kitchen. She's excited that the kids are home. Mm-hmm. She tells them that she missed them. You didn't write. You didn't call.
Meanwhile, they were just in the backyard.
Right. And Jonathan's like, we didn't need anything because Grandma gave us everything. And Mona's like, yep, and here's the bill. Yep.
So wait a minute. After she took all the food and everything from the house,
right,
she's still giving Angela a bill.
I know, because and Angela says that. What about all the stuff you took from my house?
Right, exactly.
And
That's
then
true. Yeah,
Mona says, "Don't worry, I'm bringing it all back, except for your TV. It's on the fritz." And then she dumps. She says,
"But the TV's there, and the."
Well,
she brings it back.
She brought it back. It's just it was in pieces
okay.
now. Yeah.
I gotcha.
So she dumps the pieces of the TV onto the table. And she says it's been on the fritz ever since she dropped it down the stairs. That was an odd part. But again, it's just like a Mona thing to do.
Right. Oh, yeah, here's your TV back. It's in pieces.
Right, yeah. So Tony comes in and he asks, like, what do you guys say about going out and playing a little basketball? So Diane's going to get an eyeful of all of them out there playing basketball together. Of course. Being cute. And Sam doesn't want to go. So she's like, no, just go ahead. I don't really feel like shooting hoops right now. And Jonathan says it's because she's waiting for a call from Chad McCann.
That's right. Good old Chad McCann.
Yeah, so call back to him. He's still, I guess, he's
in the picture.
In the picture for now. And Samantha says, Jonathan, I am an independent woman, and I do not need a man in my life to make me happy. And then the phone rings, and she shoves him.
I know. Once again, Jonathan gets shoved.
And
tiny.
Samantha goes running towards the telephone, and that's the end of the episode. And the only person who ever cares that Jonathan's getting thrown around is Tony. He's always the one that's like trying to catch him or make sure he's okay.
I know, he does. He keeps an eye on him.
Nobody else cares. Poor Jonathan. Oh, he also got pushed off the stool that time. In Hunk of the Month by Wendy.
Yeah, he's always getting pushed around.
Wendy Whittener with an E-N-E-R. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, and that's the end of the episode.
Is the episode. I gave this episode a 7.5. Okay. I liked the guest star. Thought the story was good. It wasn't quite as tight as some of the other episodes have been, as far as like, I don't know, the opening and the ending kind of being nice bookends, but it was good for, I feel like a lot of times when we have these writers that are not like the main set of people, that they tend to be a little wonky, but this one was good. And I like that it kind of brought forth the idea that even though Tony and Angela are not in a relationship, that they do have a family and an emotional connection.
Okay. I'll agree. I'll do a 7.5 as well. And pretty much for the same reasons. I mean, it was nice to see that she points out that, you know, her and Tony have more than just, you know, sexual tension or whatever.
Right.
Like, there's a relationship there. You know, she points out he's up there making quiche. You know, like she's got something, like she should be happy about what she has.
What is quiche? Is that a breakfast food? Or
yeah, it's like...
so maybe he was making that for the next day.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And so it was okay for them to have ice cream.
We're almost done here. We have to get in there.
Sorry.
What a quiche is. So, I gave it a 7.5, and I liked Mary Lou Henner.
Yes, Mary Lou Henner.
Gosh, I almost forgot her name for a second.
Yeah, I know. She's great in this part.
She did a really good job, and it was just nice to see her in this episode. And, overall, it was a good episode. It had good moments. There wasn't, like, any real, like, kind of cringing moments where
Just a couple
We're like,
tramps.
oh my gosh. Well, oh yeah, that's right.
No, but it was...
I forgot about the tramp part.
A quick other side note about Mary Lou Henner is in that same interview I saw with her where she was recalling the shooting this episode. I think I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. She said she had talked to Tony Danza over Thanksgiving, and he was talking about the reboot, and she said, like maybe Mrs. Wilmington should come back. So I think that would actually be pretty funny if Mrs. Wilmington still lived next door
That would
and does
be.
come back at some point.
Yeah, that would be awesome, actually. A nice throwback.
Yeah.
Who's the boss around here? Me? Or my mother? Or maybe it's you!
All right, so I think the boss is Tony.
Yeah.
That's what I have to go with. Because even after everything, he still kept it together, and he didn't just, jump into bed with
Oh, that's a good point.
with her. So he
Right.
kept it together, made the quiche. I don't know.
Made the quiche.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
Found
kidding.
the butter brickle.
That too, found the butter brickle. I mean, he was kind of running things like he got Angela to go in there when she thought the butter brickle was gone.
Yeah, that's
But then
true.
he's like, oh, I found it. Never mind, go in there and shut this all down. So, I don't know. I went with Tony. That's still that's what I thought. Sorry.
Okay, so I went a little out there and I went with Diane.
Okay. You're kidding, right?
No, I'm serious. But the
Okay,
reason
no, I mean,
is...
I actually can see this, but I mean, I feel like I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, the reason is because, like, she came on strong to Tony and he turned her down, and she basically said, like, is it because of Angela? And he said, no. And then when she spoke with Angela, she laid out the fact, like, you think you're in charge here, and you're so independent, and you're doing this all on your own, but you're not. And so she called her out on the fact that, she may not be as independent as she thinks she is, and there's nothing wrong with needing help, and there's nothing wrong with having an emotional support from other places, but she did call her out on that fact.
Yeah, that's good.
And maybe even kind of push them a tiny bit in that direction.
Yeah, a little bit more, a little closer to the finish line.
Right. Because at this point, okay, so we're season 2, episode 22. So we're going to go a little out of order. Okay, so the next episode is No Business Like Shoe Business. Then after that is The Unnatural.
Oh, so there's a...
And on Amazon Prime, it's going to be Charmed Lives,
I'm
I
glad you
think.
pay attention to this.
And then the anniversary. But we're going to do the anniversary
there's
first.
on Amazon, there's no business like show business.
Shoe Business, yeah.
Shoe business, I mean. The Unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
Charmed Live.
Lives, the anniversary show.
But that's out of order.
Yes, so it should be There's No Business Like Shoe Business, The Unnatural, then The Anniversary.
Oh.
Because Charmed Lives was a spin-off pilot. So it really has nothing to do with...
Spin-off pilot for what?
For Fran Drescher and Donna Dixon, or maybe it was just Fran Drescher. It was basically a
That
Fran
didn't
Drescher.
go well.
No.
Huh.
And I think it was going to be called Charmed Lives. So yeah, I don't know why they have them in this order, but it kind of doesn't really make sense. So we're going to watch it in the order that they aired.
Okay.
But so by the anniversary show, it's clear that these two people have feelings for one another. So however many weeks this would be beforehand, like when Diane says, is it Angela? And he says no, he's not necessarily telling the truth. And Angela's really not necessarily telling the truth either. So, yeah, I mean, I just kind of feel like she sort of called them out on that.
Yeah.
You can reach us at the Who's the Boss podcast on Instagram or on Twitter, the Who's the Boss Pod 1. I actually tweeted, I think, twice last week.
Oh, good.
The Who's the Boss podcast page on Facebook, or go to anchor.fm/WTB podcast, and there you can leave a voice message that we could play on the air. So the next episode we're going to do, we kind of talked about this a little bit, is called There's No Business Like Shoe Business. And And this episode is very cute because we get to see Tony and Angela interact with a baby. And this baby is probably the cutest baby actor I've ever seen.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to it.
So cute. All right. So take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell all your friends. And give you a big pat on the back. Bye. I added some extra.